What's going on, folks? My name is Matthew, aka EZBOT, and we're back with another live stream. Today's a bit of a variety stream, as my plan is to have some discussion with the chat and also to make some music. So my goal is to make something from scratch. I may take advantage of an app that I built that's hosted on my website called Chord Tree, which is a chord generating app that gives you suggestions for chords based on the last chord that you used. So I may show that little piece of software off. I worked on it for a few weekends and put it on my website, and some people have used it. It works with MIDI. I have it connected to my Digatone, and it's pretty fun. Get some cool sounds out of it and take you into a neo-jazz kind of, neo-soul kind of chord progressions. But besides that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the gear that we use and which gear I think is choice personally, like why I pick the gear that I pick, and also a bit of discussion on that idea that people have that less is more, and there's a lot of YouTube videos about just use the gear that you have, don't buy more gear. And sometimes I feel like that's, I don't know, it kind of can come off as a little self-righteous or something in some aspects, even though I do agree with it at some points. But I do think that there's something about music production and gear hardware that is a collector's hobby. It's not just about collecting the gear to make music. A lot of gear for a lot of us in this particular scene, the hardware scene especially, and the software scene too, but in the hardware scene, is about acquiring a collection and building a collection that you love and you nurture, such as a guitar player and a guitar and their pedal board and the giant selection of pedals that they have in the garage, which are similarly expensive. Maybe not as expensive as some music gear, but you buy less music gear than you do guitar pedals typically. And so I just wanted to bring that up, and that's my thoughts on it. Honestly, that's my honest truth about the gear. I like collecting gear. I want more of it. I also do experience that same experience that other people experience, I was using that word a lot, when they have too much gear and they feel like they're neglecting something they spent money on and it's not getting used, and they feel a sense of sadness, I guess. You have a beautiful instrument and you don't use it because maybe there's other things that are better. I think that's okay to let that instrument go, and I think it's okay to not. Also, like we shouldn't be shaming ourselves over this. I don't think of it as hoarding. I think of it as collecting, as a collector would do with anything. This is the kind of stuff that I like to collect. So I thought that was an interesting topic and an interesting thing to just mention, and also just to give my thoughts on that, because as much as I do believe in less, honestly, I also think it's cool to collect gear because it's fun, and they're beautiful instruments and they do a lot of great things. That being said, I wanted to talk about what are my favorite pieces of equipment that I've collected that I actually use on a regular basis. What are the pieces of equipment, and why do I choose those pieces of equipment to use them regularly? What do they offer, and what's so unique about that equipment? And as many of you know, this is a very Elektron focused channel. It's focused very much on Elektron. It's focused very much on the M8 tracker. These are the two workflows. To me, it's about, you buy into a sequencer, you don't necessarily buy into a piece of equipment. So for me, I bought into the Elektron sequencer, which means that any Elektron box that comes out for me is going to work. Every single Elektron box I can use. There's not one that is like out of reach for me. I think that's awesome. There's a lot of equipment made by Elektron that you can pick up, and not all of them are going to work for you, and some of them do more than others and stuff like that. And I think that's cool, and you collect them and you kind of put them together. For instance, I have a Toneverk that is not on the table, and sometimes it's on the table. It is the newest thing from Elektron, and it's very cool, but I'm also very dedicated to the stuff that I'm already extremely familiar with. My Digitact, my Digatone, and my octatrack. I love this particular setup. I love the boundaries that it sets for me. and how I'm able to get my work done because of the boundaries that it sets for me. That being said, there's more equipment than just maybe the Elektron world that I'm attracted to. I am very interested in music and equipment that allows me to do step sequencers, so XOX type sequencers, but sequencers that have parameter locking on them. So I really enjoy holding down a step and turning a knob and finding a value, and also being able to audition that at the same time. I find that to be really useful. So equipment that offers that feature, a holding a step and turning a value, is extremely interesting to me. Any company that offers that as a feature, I'm automatically kind of interested in their equipment, and I want to see the rest of their workflow. And there's a lot of companies that have started to do that. We have the Push 3 over here. And just very quickly, because this is kind of a chat discussion, show stuff off, or talk about stuff. Try not to look. Here's my Push 3, and honestly, I'm extremely excited about this piece of equipment. I think I just really clipped YouTube just now, but I find this to be an extremely cool piece of equipment. This is something I was writing the other day, just jamming on the box, learning it. Look at this perspective. If I want to add some sidechain and drop the threshold down. The display is gorgeous, the sound is amazing, and not only that, it offers, parameter locking. I can hold a value and lock in values just like I would on Elektron. This thing is getting very fleshed out. That's how I'm feeling about the Push 3 right now. This is a piece of equipment that is coming into its own for users like me. For people who are Elektron users, I feel like I can kind of move over here despite me being a Bitwig trainer. So I've put a lot of energy into Bitwig. This is Ableton, and they're not the same despite them having so many similarities and then having, being co-created together. They're not the same, and so I'm having to push myself into a territory I don't like to go into as much, which is Ableton. But this thing is really fun. It's really cool, and I collected it. It sat on my desk or sat in my corner, pulled it out every once in a while, and now it's finding a permanent home right here because I am kind of getting obsessed with it. I am getting a little obsessed with it because it's finally turning into an instrument that I can use. So this is a really cool instrument. One thing I want to mention about this, as cool as this instrument is that it's very difficult to learn. So it's a very steep learning curve. And even if you're an Ableton user, it's a steep learning curve, I think. But what you will find, let me turn my voice down a little bit, that is very cool, is how customizable everything is. You can actually plug in an audio interface right in to this unit as of 12.3, I learned. And you can power the audio interface and also get audio. So if you want to expand the inputs beyond the 2 inputs that it has, say you want to do dual bus workflow or something like that, you can do that on a Push 3 now, plug and play. That's off the chain to me. That's so cool. So this is just becoming an extremely cool instrument. Mind you, there's one thing that I do come across with the Push 3 that I think is a problem that a lot of people have with DAWs in general, and it's part of the reason why they find themselves in hardware. I think the main reason people find themselves in hardware is because they feel overwhelmed by the possibilities on the computer, and they don't want to click, and they don't want to be on this computer, and then that's a whole nother side of it. But I think a real palpable and very honest and true reason why people like to do hardware is because they want the limitations that hardware provides them, and they want the tactile feedback. They want to feel like these instruments, they're playing them and the computer isn't playing them. And the Push 3 kind of has a bit of both of that. So it has, Ableton in it, but it also has, the tactile standalone experience. But at the same time, the possibilities in it are nearly as endless as Ableton. They are slimmed down, which is nice, I think, honestly. They're slimmed down significantly, but still so many sound choices, so many expressive choices, so many sequencer types or keyboard layouts and stuff like that, that it can be pretty overwhelming just picking a way to work. And so what I learned to do is that a lot of it is that you want to do hands-on expression, You know, finger drumming is something very cool to do, but also limit yourself like you would on Elektron, like think in 4, 8, 16 bar loops and start with those segments and program from there on the box. And that actually opened it up a lot for me and made me feel a lot more comfortable on it because it was much more familiar to me. The other piece of two other pieces of equipment, you know, besides modular, I will mention modular just because modular is modular. Modular just is whatever you want it to be. So it's kind of just an amorphous instrument. I like it, but I also find myself, you know, more enticed by these pre-built concepts like the Elektron stuff and Push and M8. So kind of like the last two instruments that I'm very infatuated with that I just wanted to talk about before, you know, we do some music production, maybe play with this Chord Tree thing, is the M8 tracker, of course. And the M8 tracker is just one of the best instruments ever made of all time, honestly. And the fact that it's battery powered, has amazing features in it, streams audio, 24 channels of audio, insane that it can stream all of the audio over USB with the Teensy 4.1 in it. It has a computer perspective. If you want to blow the screen up, you can run audio over that too to capture with zoom or loop back for your DAW or for streaming. So if you want to be a streamer and do some programming on the M8, it's just ready to go. It has tons of instruments, slicing, sampling in stereo, scale modes, rendering, stem rendering, bundle rendering, the ability to share songs with each other, that kind of thing. This is just a community type device. This is a device that just invites people to have fun, carry it in your pocket even if you want, because it's that size, really well built, good price, best price on a piece of equipment you can get. Even with the price being higher than it's ever been, at I think $650 or something. When I got it, it was $499, and that was incredibly cheap. It was too cheap for what you got. It was actually, this should be $1,000 in my opinion. I'd pay $1,000 for this, easy, because of how much fun it brings me, and the kind of stuff that I'm like, this is something currently that I'm playing with right now, and I think it sounds just a great sounding device. Let's just listen for a moment and just acknowledge the fact of how cool this thing is. What about the OPXY? We're going to talk about that. It's huge. Whoa, that shot's going over my face. Yeah. Incredibly cool. Okay, so really fun device. The kind of, you can make music like that on it very easily. It's incredibly fun. This is obviously this like really punchy, fun drum and bass track I'm putting together for like the second half of my set. I'm putting this scene together isn't completely finished, but I love the analysis that it puts up at the top. So one of the best devices ever, M8 tracker, in my opinion. The stuff that I'm interested in, I think that most people who like the kind of stuff that I like M8 tracker, Elektron, Push 3, also like things like TR-1000. They also like things like OPXY. But they don't find themselves with an MPC as often, which is interesting, right? And I think there's a reason for that, which we can discuss as well. And they find themselves with like things like modular. So the other two pieces of equipment that somebody mentioned, OPXY, and that is on the list here, of equipment that I think is very cool, and that I do like to keep, and I don't consider myself hoarding them despite me not getting to use them as often because I have a workflow that I'm very engaged with, is the TR-1000. I think the TR-1000, while it's not on the screen right now, the TR-1000 is in fact one of the best music production devices to come out in many years, and deserves the attention and deserves the price that it costs to get. And I do believe that that is something you could build your entire workflow around. I do think that that is a home run for Roland. It has, everything has its own set of setbacks, and it has some bugs that I think it needs to mitigate and figure out how to fix. And it has an interesting workflow that is unique to it in a very good way, also difficult to wrap your head around, but it offers things like parameter locking. Once again, that's something that it just like, we're seeing it across the board. If you have an Elektron is the brand who kind of like made this popular because it was from trackers originally. We had parameter lock. We've always had step locking values since the tracker existed. You can go even further back than that and just say like automation in a DAW. But like since the tracker existed, we've had step automation, and step automation is very fun. It's just a good time. There's something mechanical about it that feels good. It's very noticeable. It's very easy to feel your changes. TR-1000 has that now as well. It has a lot less of it than these other boxes, even far less than the Push 3, but it does offer it in ways that are quite useful. So I think that box totally kicks ass. And the last piece of equipment, just talking gear here, that I think is really cool is it would be the OPXY. I do think that the Teenage Engineering OPXY is a really cool instrument. I think it is a beautiful piece of equipment. I think it is expensive, and I don't think that you need it. But I do think that people could, if they wanted to, build their entire workflow around it, and then it would become value. The unit would become a lot more valuable than it is to me. Right now, it's a really beautiful instrument that I have and I like and I think is really cool. And I have gotten familiar with it enough to feel confident on it that I can make music on it. I'm still, I haven't searched every edge of the dark room that is the OPXY, because it is a strange instrument and it does kind of hide a little bit of what you're doing, and you are maybe going back and searching for stuff that you've done, which I find frustrating. It's very easy on Elektron to see what you've done. That's what I like about Elektron. Screens light up, they give you alerts, you hold a step down and the other windows, for instance, just give an example of why this is so useful. But on a device like Elektron, and I think that Teenage Engineering could take a hint from this, and so could Ableton, and so could TR-1000. But on Elektron, you hold this down, you can see what did I do? Oh, I have a trig value locked here. Well, there it is. It's locked to C4. If I want to lock other things, it would alert me that I have done that and locked a little bit of my pan parameter. This is the kind of stuff that I now have come to expect from music gear. I want all of this kind of quality of life features. I want them in all my gear. And this is kind of what happens, I think. And I'm talking at you guys, I understand. But I think that there's a phenomenon that happens in music production, and I guess in life in general, but like there's a phenomenon that happens when somebody ups the ante and says like, I'm going to give you all these quality of life features. As soon as you have that and you experience it and it becomes a part of your workflow, you can't go back. And anything that doesn't have it feels archaic. It feels like you're playing with a toy as opposed to your grown-up gear. You know what I mean? There is this experience that I have where like I go on the Digatone and it has, or Digitone, which is how I like to say it, and it has every quality of life feature I could possibly want. I can set up per track keyboard layouts and scales. You can do that on a per track basis on the Digatone. I can route things into the compressor. I can route things into the control all function. I can choose what audio goes out the main outs. I can adjust my master sends. I have a master compressor if I want to use it as a master compressor. I use it for ducking. It has note entry with offset for making staggered chords or strums, and micro timing. I mean, it has everything. So there's some equipment that once they do this, everything else is just kind of behind. And I feel like that's a little bit of what happened with the Toneverk. I think when the Toneverk came out, one of the things that happened to Elektron and why it kind of got you know, a little bit of negative action on that first day. Not, I don't even want to talk about this for very long, but when it came out, we had an expectation that the digitones, the bases, like what we expect on the digatone, would be there. And when it wasn't, it was a frustration for many users. But to be frank, whether it's on there or not, for me, I want the digatone. I want the form factor. I want synthesis. Anyway, like I love the Toneverk and what it does, but for me and in my production workflow, as much as I love having another sampler and one that can do multi-samples and all these cool effects, to me, I still want really basic stuff in my music production, which is a synthesizer. And this is a synthesizer, and a wonderful, wonderful synthesizer. And I want a sampler, and this is a wonderful sampler with the kind of features that I need to program drums and slice up vocals and do all that stuff. And I don't need to do it on my octatrack, and I can use my octatrack the way the octatrack can be used like no other piece of equipment. I can process effects, I can do live resampling, I can do sample playback if I want, and I can do MIDI sequencing if I want. I could use it as a master effect if I wanted, or a master like chain, mastering chain, if I so dare wanted to. Incredible piece of equipment. So this is just my chat on gear, and the reason why it's coming up is because it's that time of the year, right? It's a Buchla and Friends. It's a NUM week. We got everybody's coming out. We got firmwares popping up on the computer. You know, beautiful YouTube videos about new firmwares. Synth 2.0 from Polyend. We got MPC XL, I think, or X or whatever, whichever one it is. It looks crazy. It looks amazing. You know, John Makes Beats is doing amazing stuff on it already. I'm sure he's already a master at it. And I've seen a lot of other great demos of that thing. Pretty cool. It's a monster. It's a monster. MPC has never been my thing. And I have tried. I like the pads a lot for the MPC. I like to finger drum, but it has never been a workflow that I've really understood or has grabbed my attention. But there's a lot of new equipment. My point is that there's so much new equipment coming out, and a lot of amazing equipment coming out, but how does it stack up to the equipment that we have right now? And I still don't think there's anything that quite beats, and for me, in my opinion, the stuff that I have on the table right now. I think there's really no beating the Digitact 2, the Digatone 2, the M8 Tracker, the Push 3, and honestly the TR-1000. And I think that there's no better equipment out right now. And I like a lot of others. So there's a lot of cool brands with a lot of cool stuff. I do appreciate and like the Polyend Tracker Plus, and I think that if you wanted that particular tracker experience, I think you could jam on the Polyend Tracker Plus, especially if you paired it with the synth. And I think that's an amazing workflow. So I think that if that was my workflow, I think that would fit into the category of that's all you need as well. So I do want to give a mention to Polyend, because they do really make some really great equipment, and they have upgraded their software to a point where I'd say it's competitive with the top dogs out there like Elektron and the M8 Tracker and your DAW. So yeah, that's my monologue to you all about the equipment, and I'm excited to go to Buchla and Friends very soon, and I'm performing there. I'm playing at 11:30, so if you come down and you want to see me do some music, you'll hear, you know, I'm going to open up with some dub techno for a while, and then I'm going to jump over to my M8 Tracker and jam on a bunch of like chiptune-y drum and bass, weird, hyper melodic EDM stuff that I like to do on there, and play with my octatrack as a performance mixer, and you can watch me jam out, maybe watch me do a faceplant. We'll find out, but hopefully I'll have a flawless performance. That all being said, I want to make some music. Let me show you Chord Tree. Chord Tree is this cool chord generator. This is what it looks like. So this is Chord Tree. I have it connected to my Digatone. You can find this on my website, modbang.com, and just go to Chord Tree. It's free, and it does really cool stuff. So let me pull it up, and we can do some stuff. I'm going to clear it out so we can start from scratch, and I'm going to find a patch on the Digatone that I think would be really cool. So let's go to some sort of track that's empty. My boxes. Okay. It should be on the auto channel, and if you have the auto channel set up correctly, I believe that. Well, I'll just check. If you have the auto channel set up, what you can do is any track that you play, any MIDI device will play the track that you're currently on. That's the use case of the auto channel. Yes, it's on the correct auto channel. So on here, you can actually go in and set up your whole MIDI setup. It's already set on Digatone 2 and on channel 16, and you can set your gate length for the notes that are coming out of this. You want to do your programming on the Digatone 2. This thing is meant to just help inspire you. But if you want, if you like, say you already had a chord picked out, say you had a chord on your Digatone already set up. Let me get this crazy scale out of here. I don't need a scale. So you're just like, maybe you want to go, you know, C minor 7. So you could actually type in C minor 7. And there it is. And it will actually show you the notes right here on Chord Tree. And then that's playing my Digatone as we speak. And if I want, I can, you know, put the root down an octave and play, and root down 1 octave and play in like second inversion. So these are all suggestions. And you can see it kind of gives you a little bit of theory down at the bottom. So it's a tritone jump. It's destabilizing. That's probably the most important information, is that this tells you that it's destabilizing your chord progression. So it's going to start sounding a little bit, you can kind of go anywhere from somewhere where it's unstable. So you need to reestablish the tone. This is kind of teaches you a little bit of theory, tells you the notes. It's pretty fun. Let me try a different patch on my Digatone. And then over here, on the top of Chord Tree, I can actually move this position on the keyboard, and it will build the chords around where I've put my position. So when I want to add another chord, I hold Shift and click. Let's go to this diatonic chord. So this is in the scale of C minor. So we'll go Shift and click, and now that's added here. And I'm building a chord progression. So now this chord list populated with chords that are relevant to our key, which is in C minor, and our last chord that's used. So every chord here that it offers is now going to be is going to work with G sharp major 7. So we go like this. This is very strong resolution. It says connects G sharp to C sharp. That's a really strong chord, but we can choose it. And now the next chord will be coming from this D7. If we want to remove a chord, we can hold Control and click, and it will take the chord away. Shift and click to put it back. And you can actually lock chords in. So say I want to use this octave down second inversion. I can say all right, well, let's lock these in that mode. And now let's go back here and let's go back to the root, and our chords will now be like this. Pretty cool, right? Oh, it's kind of dropped. Oh, it's cut off at the bottom there. We don't want that. Hang on here. See if I can fix that real quick. Got this border that's kind of cooking the screen. That's kind of a bummer. Hang on, let me try and get rid of this border. There we go. And then I'll just move this over so you can see it. Okay. Much better. Okay, so now you can actually see what's going on. So let me show you. I know you can see here on my digatone as well. I can actually lock these chords into my digatone. So what you do is you go on your step sequencer. Say I want to do an 8-bar sequence. Go on your step sequencer, and then you just hold down a step. As you can see, I'm holding a step down. And then you go to the little app, and you go. And now that note is locked in on my digatone. Or that chord. You can take a look at it here. There's all the notes right there. You can set the length if you want. It's a bit longer than it needs to be. Oh, that's cool. Maybe put this next one in. Just really fun, right? And like this chord progression is honestly beyond my theory skills. It's just, I don't have, you know, and some people would be like, shame on you, just learn the theory. But it's like, takes a really long time to learn like neo-soul theory. It's a really deep thing. You're not just going to pick it up in a day, you know? Learning the machines plus learning theory like that is really hard. So it's nice to have this software that I built. I built it for myself so that I could make this like neo-soul stuff. I'm really inspired to make like much more complex sounding chord progressions, kind of a bit of an Aphex idea where we have a lot of different chord changes and maybe modulations during the track. It works. It's really easy to program that kind of stuff on an MA tracker. It's much harder on Elektron, but it's easy to use this particular application with Elektron to get these kind of chords. And having them all spaced out on a bar is not ideal. What I think you would want to do is like kind of like program a cool drum beat and then take the chords and place them on different moments from the drum beat that you like. So you kind of just move them around instead of it being this like simple 4 on the floor type progression. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you wanted to get something a little bit more complex, you could try and have like do an odd time value here and an odd time value on your track that you want it to like play along with. And you could have it change chords on every kick drum or something. And I think that would sound awesome. Then you could sidechain it or something. I mean, I should probably just do it instead of talking about it, but I think it's pretty sick. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Do I have any presets available for Toneverk? I do not. Jeremy does. Redman's Recording has got a bajillion presets available for Toneverk. I think he's got like 75 or something. You should check that out. Somebody was asking me a question here in the chat. Drambo deserves an honorable mention. We are really in a gear gold rush. Still think there's space for a mixer focused on hardware electronic scene. You know, there's some people that have, I mean, there's DJ mixers. I mean, that is what DJ mixers totally can do that. And the octatrack is the other one, but there's also like IntelliGel came out with theirs, which I think is fully released now. And it has an EQ, an analog EQ, I think, on it. And that is the little mixer based on, you know, 1/4 inch balanced input mixer, small, attractive, with a send and return, so that if you wanted to do effects or, and I think maybe a master send. I think there's some, for whatever reason, there's an expectation that you're supposed to just do all the effects and mixing with a mixer and use send and returns and master effects and have like this giant desktop of gear, when it really, we do need just a solid device. And something that I think is a really competitive answer to that particular question, what do we do with the mixer, is what I mentioned with the Push 3. The Push 3 has the potential. I think Elektron is going to come out with something in the next couple of years to compete with this stuff, because they have to. Otherwise, they'll get pushed out by brands like Ableton, who are doing, they are putting the work in to build this equipment for the hardware people. And not that Elektron's going to be pushed out anytime soon. That's not what I don't mean it like that. I just mean like, I think that they're going to come out with something that is going to answer that question. I think they have to. They'll be forced to by users. But right now, I think a really competitive and cool answer is to just buy a cheap audio interface. You can get a 2nd, 3rd gen, 4th gen, whatever audio interface that is USB audio powered by USB and has 8 inputs and 8 outputs for $100. I bet you could find one for free if you went to Goodwill, and plug that into a Push 3. And you've just expanded the inputs and outputs on the Push 3 by like 8 inputs and 8 outputs, plus the 2 it already has and the 4 outputs that it has. And and then there's your mixer. It has a multi-band dynamic compressor with presets that you can save on a per song basis. So you could use it as your mastering chain. It has, you know, every kind of limiter and EQ you could possibly need, with visual representation of those values in a way that it displays that's helpful and accurate. And then it has all the synthesis you could possibly need. It is a DAW in a box with some limitations. So I do think there's some really cool stuff. I think if somebody saw you with an audio interface plugged into your Push 3, they'd be thinking you're playing with a computer. But they wouldn't be far off. Which one of you would get combined with Toneverk Digitone 2, Digitac or Octatrack Mark II? To be honest, combined with Toneverk and a Digitone 2, I would say that you should get a Digitac 2. I do think an Octatrack Mark II is a really great idea. I think the best use case for the Octatrack in 2026 is to use it as a performance mixer and less as a drum machine, because they've made so many new drum machines or samplers that are just have more convenient features for programming. So I would say a Digitac 2 if your goal is to program some stuff like that. You run your DN2 through your analog heat effects much? No, I do not. To be honest, I don't really use the analog heat very much. I did do a video recently, and I'm chopping up a video right now on how to use it as a master on a per song basis for live sets, and it automatically switches to your mastering value so you can have perfect levels on an output device with compression and everything. And it can do that, and it's a great piece of equipment. I'm kind of like attracted to the idea of smaller equipment, but you can actually send MIDI messages to an analog heat plus effects and have it be your end of chain mastering suite, so to speak, that is actually leveled per song, so that you actually have, because if you just buy a limiter and a compressor and you throw it on the end of your chain, you have to write all your music with that limiter and compressor active. And that's the workflow you have to have. Otherwise, you're not going to have good dynamics when you move to a new song. Also how looking through the chat right now. Do you have any presets? No, I just already answered that one. You've maxed out the IO and access on the UCX. Oh yeah. I mean, Pineapple. That's what you're supposed to do with the UCX. The RME stuff is the best. If you're gonna get in, if anybody's looking to get, you're bottlenecked on your audio interfaces, and you do bottleneck on your audio interface. And I think it's a good idea if you're really, if you're hardcore about music production and hardware music production, you should get a good audio interface that offers really convenient features and is useful. Like anything RME, in my opinion, is the best. It has the best software for being a switcher, being a mixer, all of that. I would 100% say get a UCX2 or get a Fireface 802 and or a Babyface. Get one of those and you have the best audio interface available, in my opinion, for hardware electronic music. You can also like do what you do with it and then disconnect it from your computer and then go play a show and have that audio interface actually just be the output, and it will stay the way that you want it. So if you had all this complex routing, you could just use your RME and unplug it from your computer and use it as your main out as a mixer, mixing console that's already pre-set up. And you have hardware like this that they make. This thing's solid. This thing feels like it could stop a armor-piercing bullet. It's so solid. But it's, you know, it's got snapshots and stuff. So fantastic piece of equipment for hardware music production users. I 100% recommend it. What MIDI interface would you recommend? You have around 16 instruments, some MIDI, some... I mean, I really like the MRCC stuff. There's some really expensive stuff out there. Any of the Mio stuff is great. I mean, honestly, you're not gonna go wrong with any of it. I think if it's got enough inputs and outputs, whoops, sorry about that. If it has enough inputs and outputs, you're good to go. Like there's nothing so special about audio or about MIDI interfaces that that really changes the game. If you like the way they look or the size and the amount of outputs they have and you like the price, that's what you get. You know what I mean? Like the kind of extra features you find in MIDI interfaces. What I really like about the MRCC is like you can hold a button and click another button and then it will route those two MIDI channels by pressing two buttons. It's extremely intuitive. It's like, oh, okay. I want my octatrack to go to my digitact. Okay, I want my computer to control this and this. Cool. It also adds like a bunch of features, like it can do MIDI analysis to see if you have like sending extra notes or anything like that. And you can also like add arpeggiators to things that don't have arpeggiators, but it's complicated and I don't enjoy doing stuff like that. Or I just want my MIDI to connect and send clock transport and maybe program change. And that's all that matters to me. So if you're like me and that's what matters to you, then I think any of them is going to be pretty good for you. Have you ever seen The Rain? You mean The Rain mixer? For whatever reason, I read that like the song lyrics. And now you're all singing it in your head, I hope. I really wish there was a ping pong looping on the Digitact. I do too, and it's kind of strange that there isn't. I thought it wasn't there on Digitact 1? Any tip for hardstyle leads on Digatone 2? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, if I listen to hardstyle, I'm sure I could come up with some synth ideas. Once you get familiar with the Digatone 2, all you have to do is listen to another song and you can go, oh, I know how to make that. That's it. I don't know, maybe that's from a lot of experience, but that's how it is for me. When I listen to another genre, I just go over to Digitact 2 and Digatone 2 and I can just make that music just by listening to the song. And that's just like you just know how to use the synthesizer and you can make whatever you want with it. Just here to say we need a new octatrack. Donald Duck, what's up, man? And I agree. Elektron is going to be at Buchla and Friends in Num, and I'm hoping to get to have a conversation with them and tell them exactly that. We need another octatrack, and we need it now. And we need it, if we do get one, we need it to be just like the one we already have, just better. I don't want a different octatrack. That is really important to me. I don't want to lose out on parts. I like parts. I think the octatrack needs to stay exactly like it is. Just beef it up, make it stronger, update its effects, and give it the quality of life features that the Digitact has, and some of the stuff that the Toneverk has, like direct jump and what else? The effects, the buses. It'd be cool to have like a couple buses on the octatrack, a master bus and stuff like that, so we don't have to use a track for a master track. But otherwise, that's how it should be. It's like I don't want them to break our octatrack. That'd be such a bummer. So no OT based on Linux? Is the Toneverk on a Linux platform? That's what's going on. You'll tell them on Saturday as well? Yes, we'll all tell them. I think that everybody's telling them that who's an Elektron fiend. We all want another octatrack. And I do think I thought, yeah, I heard that too, Dr. Leviathan. I recall hearing that that it is in fact on Linux. And a lot of people are Linux fans. I mean, Steam Deck, right? The Steam OS is absolute fire. It's amazing what they've done. I don't know, but I do know I've been told that Linux is not ideal for audio. That's what I've been told, at least. So I don't know if they're going to do it. They probably are going to do it on the same platform. But the octatrack has to load stuff too, just like the Toneverk. The Toneverk has to load a lot more audio than the octatrack does, so I think it's okay. I think we'll be all right. Norns is Linux. Yeah, Norns is dope. Linux introduces latency. Oh, that's a conversation for us to have with Elektron, don't you think? I think we should talk to them about that. But I don't think they'd spent 7 years, I believe, developing the Toneverk on Linux. I don't think they're going to step back from that. They already developed this whole platform, you know? I don't know what it is, how they can make it go faster. I'm not really sure. If you custom Linux, you can do a lot, and that's probably what they're doing, I imagine. You know what I love about the community here and these live streams, to be honest? What I absolutely, I adore the YouTube channel that I run, because these conversations, this is what I want to talk about. Like my friends, my personal friends outside of the music community, they don't give a shit about any of this stuff. My family is only interested in it because it's what I do, but they don't care either. They're not interested in it. They don't really know. You know, there's just the community here is who I get to talk to about this gear. I want to have this conversation every single day, several times a day. This is what I want to do. I want to sit here and talk to a group of people who are hyper passionate about this stuff the way I am. I am a fiend, an absolute fiend for this stuff. When I'm not at my desk, if I'm not sitting here teaching lessons, and I do like 20 hours plus of Elektron lessons a week and have for years, I'm not kidding you. This is literally what I do. I sit at this desk with Elektron gear and I teach people how to use it for years, several hours. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm on my phone listening to YouTube videos, either people's jams or tutorials or like new equipment that's coming out, or thinking about just like somebody's got like, oh, check out this workflow, and I watch their workflow video and I critique it in my head and I try and think of like it could do it better or something. Like that is what's happening. This community is everything, dude. It's like, it's so cool to sit here and chat with people and the conversations that we're talking about. We're talking about Linux and audio and what should Elektron do. And it's just, I don't get to have that conversation outside of this community. And I want to do this more. I really wish I could do this every day, like a gamer streams. You know, I wish I could be the burnt peanut of Elektron, but my life doesn't allow for it right now. But man, I would love it. And I'd love to meet everybody that I can. If you come down to Buchla and Friends and come see me play some music, come say what's up, please. I love meeting people and saying hi. And yeah, anyway, I just felt overwhelming urge suddenly to just say that to the community, because I'm just so grateful to get to hang out and do this, and that there's actual community to talk to about this gear. I gotta say, like, I mean, if I was to, like, you know, to pivot a little bit from this octatrack Linux conversation, we're gonna talk to Elektron. We're gonna see him in a couple days. We're gonna tell him it's time, and we're also gonna tell them it's time, and that they also need to give us some very specific things. And I'm gonna say that, you know, I have a meeting. I'm gonna go meet up with them and talk to them about you know, gear. So I'll chat with them and have that conversation. But I gotta say, the thing I'm the most excited, there's two pieces of equipment that pull my attention away from Elektron more than anything. I already am so situated in Digitac, Digatone, Octatrack, Toneverk, Rhythm, Experience, or whatever. I'm already so into that, and then I'm already so in love with my M8 tracker, and I've learned it so deeply at this point. And there's a lot more to learn on that one, honestly. I still feel like there's a lot more for me to learn. I feel like there's less on Elektron in terms of just like technique and stuff that I haven't learned. But the thing that's getting my attention the most right now is I really want to just play on the Push 3 a lot. Even more than my TR1000, I really just want to play on the Push 3. I'm finding it to be really fun, honestly, to play on it in standalone, not connected to my computer or doing anything like that. I'm finding it to be really, really fun. It just sounds so good. You know, no analog synth. Like, this is the analog synth on it, just called analog. And if you don't know this, this is something that, like, hey, look, my little graphics popping up. Join the Patreon. If you haven't, join the Patreon. Octatrack templates, support the channel. Something that I think is really cool that I noticed from perusing patches on Ableton, on here, and also on Serum, I think is really cool. This is a really Leviathan. I have the Leviathan behind me, actually. What I really like about perusing the patches on the Push 3 is that and I was saying this on Serum. When you open up Serum and you go look at the Serum effects, but on Push it's even easier because it really just displays it all right in a line and tells you what's going on to make these patches. And there's patches on there that aren't just like patches you could make on a typical synthesizer, because the Push 3 has EQs and all this modulation and like any sort of just effects that aren't available on other devices. Like, a lot of synthesizers don't have compressors. You know, that's just a rare thing. But do you need a compressor on a synthesizer? Abso-freaking-lutely, you do. You need a compressor on a synth. If you want to make punchy, really punchy bass lines, you need a compressor. Toneverk has a compressor. And it's actually really cool. If you go on the Toneverk and use a compressor on bass lines, you can make the most punchy techno bass lines ever. And it's like, why do those bass notes hit so hard? It's a compressor. That's why. Put a compressor on your bass lines. Super fat, super awesome. I love it. So good. But what's really cool about like Push 3 is that it just opens up these patches and it lets you see what is inside the sound. Why does it sound so good? What is it? Is it the synth itself? Often not. Often it's the synth. Yes, simple patches. You know, you want a swelling pad, long attack, long release, apply something similar to the filter cutoff, throw some reverb and delay on it. Okay, cool. But why does this one sound huge? Why does this one sound ethereal? Okay, there's a pitch shifter afterwards. Wait, there's a pitch shifter in the reverb tank. Okay, that's what's okay. There's a delay before the reverb, but it's a short delay. And then there's another delay that's a longer delay, and it's adding this bounciness, and they're bouncing. Like, that's stuff you can see inside of Serum 2, which is a really great VST, and inside of the Push 3. And you can analyze these techniques, and once you learn them, you can apply them anywhere. What's really cool is that these techniques that I'm talking about, like these more complex synth patches, you can do on the Toneverk, you cannot do on any other device other than maybe the octatrack using neighbor machines. But in terms of Elektron, and in terms of my favorite pieces of equipment, you can actually make these style of patches while you don't have the synthesis. And I tested it on the Toneverk. Single cycle waveforms are not good on Toneverk. I mean, they're good enough to do some basic synth stuff, but it actually sounds better on the Digitact. I'm not sure what's going on with the single cycles on there. It's like something about the phase doesn't line up. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong actually, so maybe it's not a big deal. But I did put single cycles and wavetables on it, and I was so impressed. But in terms of just like using multi-samples or even using the single one-shot player and just putting a synth thing on there, applying these effects the way that you would apply them in your computer gives you the same results that you get from the computer, but on an Elektron device. So you want a really punchy techno bass line, like those really, really catchy, punchy ones that you hear on commercials, like that kind of stuff. You can do that on a Toneverk, which I find fascinating and I think is really cool. But you can also do it on a Push 3, of course. But I love that the Push 3 just has a bajillion of these presets, and you can go in there and learn. And that's what I do. So like for me, like when it comes to all of this equipment, the way I figure stuff out is I go on the internet and I watch tutorials on Bitwig and I watch tutorials on Ableton, and I see if they apply to Elektron. And if they don't apply, I take whatever I can and I try and find tricks to make it work. Like before we had sidechain compression on the Elektron boxes, we had to use envelopes, but we didn't actually have envelopes. We had LFOs. And we didn't really have an envelope shape. We had an exponential shape in there, but it wasn't like, that's not the most ideal. You know what I mean? We can't really design a perfect sidechain, but we made do with it. But we had to be clever to figure that out. And I love that about this stuff. Like there's something about the having all the tools and then applying them as opposed to it just having everything. You know what I mean? Like it's cool to build the tools. And that's what I love about like the octatrack, for instance, because you can just build something out of it that maybe wasn't even what Elektron intended. They just gave you all the options. They're like, yeah, well, whatever. Do whatever you want with it. Or like a Zoya, for instance. I kind of regret selling my Zoya. Anybody else regret selling their Zoya? I bet there's plenty of people in here that are like, yes, I regret selling my Zoya. You still have your Zoya, Ron? Ron, what's up, man? Ron, I don't know if I ever say your last name right, but Ron Cavignaro or Cavinaro? I don't know if the G is silent. Ron has a YouTube channel. You should go check it out. I've watched lots of your videos, Ron. Honestly, I have. And I've watched them on because you're a Deluge ninja. And when I want to learn something on the Deluge, I find my way over to your channel. And another guy's channel more recently. I'm forgetting his name, but you're the OG, in my opinion, when it comes to that stuff. Good to see you. Good to see you. Cav Ag Naro. Okay, that's what I was saying. Nice. Do I use any pedals? Yeah, I do. I have a ton of. I'm a guitar player. I have a ton of pedals. The ones I have, my favorite guitar pedal of all time. I'll tell you right now. And someday I'll actually use it on this channel because I have a million guitars. I don't have a million guitars, but I have a lot of guitars. And my favorite pedal of all time, favorite guitar pedal of all time, is by Game Changer Audio, which is a newer company, and they make really cool stuff that people like in this sphere. It's called the Plus pedal, and it actually has a real piano sustain on it, but it uses micro sampling to create sustains for guitar. And so you can just press down on this pedal, and the depth at which you press creates the strength of the sustain. And it actually feels like you can do piano sustain while you're playing guitar. And I have made the most beautiful music with that pedal. It is insane. And you can have it be post or pre for your sustain. So you could have it be like attached to the guitar. So it's like the input. And then, I would still go compressor, then this. And then after that, all of your effects. And wow, super cool. But when it comes to like pedals that I use in the synthesizer realm, I think there's some very specific types of pedals that are really useful. I think like Granular pedals are really fun. You know, microcosm, for instance, and compressors I think are really nice. Stereo compressors can be really fun to just throw on a synth, especially like something like the 303. Throw on a nice analog mono compressor on there and make it so the 303 doesn't get quiet when you do the softer notes or when you're doing sustains, stuff like that. So it's really nice for stuff like that. But otherwise, I don't honestly use pedals very much. Microcosm plus Chroma Console. And they really nailed it because everybody has done the micro. I've not ever used a Chroma Console. Next stream, guitar jamming into octatrack. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. This isn't a, you know, I don't play guitar much on this channel. I've like, I do have one video where you can see me playing guitar and singing, but it's a ways back where you can, this song I wrote. But yeah, I don't do that too much, but I should. You're right. You're right. You got the H90 and the granular update made it go even crazier. And the H90, I was just looking at that. I've learned more about the H90 and its superpowers. I didn't realize it had 2 stereo inputs for processing. And I think that's pretty powerful. So there is an EQ compressor inside the H90, whereas so it's kind of like, I don't know how it functions exactly. I don't think it's a dynamic EQ, dynamic compressor, but it is like a combo patch of an EQ and a compressor, and you could use that as your end of chain. And then the other side of the effects on the H90 you could use as an effect. Because I think you can stack multiple effects on a single chain. I'm not sure. For the price of the H90, you better be able to do anything you want. Honestly, that thing better do everything. They should redo Cosmos and shrink it 60%. The Cosm, the microcosm. Maris pedals for trips into the universe. Yeah, I do like Maris pedals a lot. You know, I used to do the demos for a synth shop for many years, and I demoed like every Maris pedal that came out from 2019 to 2024 ish, and a lot of the Chase Bliss stuff. I have some Chase Bliss. I've a couple Chase Bliss pedals, and I use them with synthesizers. I don't ever use them with my guitar, to be honest, because they are so weird, and I am a little bit more particular when it comes to my pedals, but I do think they are really cool. Cosmos could be smaller, but it is nice as it is. Are we talking Cosm or Cosmos? I don't know what Cosmos is. They're talking about Soma. Oh, the Soma Cosmos. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate the clarity there, because I had no idea what you were talking about. I haven't gotten to play on the Soma Cosmos. I'm hoping to get to play on and check that out when I get up to LA on Saturday. Soma's really cool. I reached out to Soma. I haven't heard back from them, so if Soma is here ever listening, get back to me, yo. I really like their stuff. I have 2 pieces of equipment from Soma. I have a Lyra 8, which I'll never get rid of. Love my Lyra 8. And I also have that weird ether, I think it's called, where it like just picks up, it's like the inversion of a radio signal, like or a radio receiver. So instead of it like receiving a particular signal, it's like it receives all the signals. I don't know how else to put it, but it's like it's an interference audio. It sounds insane. It's pretty cool. A little expensive. Where are you performing in LA? It's located out here and would love to see. I am playing, I don't know where it is. It's on the thing. Let me see, I can look on Instagram. Holy, is there really 100 people hanging out right now? What is going on with you guys? Y'all kicking it with me? I appreciate you hanging out. Let me see. I'll tell you where it is. It's at Boomtown Brewery. Boomtown Brewery at 7 p.m. That's where it opens. 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. But I'm playing at 11:30, so it's gonna be late. I always get concerned playing late at like hardware events because it is on a Saturday, so maybe people will actually stick around. But at a lot of like these hardware related type events, you know, people are coming out for the hardware event. and the music is secondary, as opposed to when you go to a show where the music is everything. So we'll see how many people actually stick around to see me play at 11:30. Probably people will get pretty burnt out and want to go home. I'm totally one of the people who gets burnt out and wants to go home. I've turned into an old man for sure. For sure. Actually, while I have some folks here, do you guys want to give me a little, let me know what you think about this? So I was actually, one of the tracks that I'm working on that's new is this dub techno track that I have 3 patterns for. And it's like, honestly, so I have like 15 minutes. I can just tell you, why don't you talk about this, how I'm preparing the set and what I'm doing. So half of my set is, this is kind of fun conversation. And this is eventually going to change because once I get deeper into push 3 land, it's going to be different. So half of my set is on here. And there's like 4 songs I'm playing. And it comes out to roughly 15, 16 minutes of music on the main. I have a 30-minute set. That's all they allotted me. I have a lot more than 30 minutes of music, but that's how much music they allotted me, and I'm doing half of it on my M8 tracker, and the other half I'm doing on Elektron. And so the workflow on Elektron for me is this like, oh, we're not doing that. That's what we're doing with Chord Tree. Is a much more improv, you know, not improv. These songs are written, but the experience is improvisational. Like I get a jam, right? One of the things you want to do when you're doing this, so say like you finish writing your music and you're like, okay, I'm done. You save it, of course. So you save your projects, and you want to actually go into your project, manage projects, and find your project. So this one's called tech, because originally I was making tech now. Hit the right arrow, and you toggle the lock. Which I'll do for now, even though I might want to write something. But just to show you what you would do if you're performing, you lock it. When you lock it, you can no longer save it. So anything you do when you reload the project will just reload back to the locked state. So you always have a safe way to perform. So it's a good thing for playing live. So what I was thinking about doing for my live play, this dub techno track, a lot of my workflow is that I have these 2 tracks, right? These 2 sets, these 2 rows, and I duplicate them out. I think actually I heard the other day that Dave Mech in his course teaches something very similar, which was news to me, and I love Dave Mech. In fact, me and Dave Mech have been talking, trying to do some sort of collaboration maybe, because I really like that guy. I love his music. I just like him, you know? He's a really likable guy, in my opinion. But I heard that he teaches something similar to what I teach, which is really cool, and I feel honored that I naturally came to a conclusion that he also came to, because I respect his work. And so that's cool. That's cool. So what I do, and I think maybe he kind of does, I'm not sure what he does. Somebody just told me this, but, is that I do 2 rows of a kit for techno production and 2 rows of instruments on my Digatone. And I always have an alternate, and then I can switch them up, right? I talk about this a lot the last couple months. And so I did this with my dub techno track. And so I have to start, like, choose how do I want this track to start? And I want it to be, like, I really love, like, really melodic stuff. Like this kind of sound, like, I love these kind of sounds. This congas playing in the back. So I bought a pack of congas, which you can see. I bought this pack of quantized, not congas, but quantized South African drum beats off of Loop Cloud. And I freaking love it. It's so good for techno and dub techno. But I grabbed it and then I throw it in the slice machine. We can just, yeah, go into my slice machine here, take a look at it. And, you know, of course, I don't just put a loop in there and press play. I chop it up. I make my own loop out of the loop. Otherwise, to me, it's not cheating, but I don't like it to do that. I don't like doing it, and I don't like it when other people do it either very much. I don't like knowing that. Let's just say that. But I do think it's fine. Whatever. I'm being a jerk. So bought that pack, put it in here, and I've been throwing it into these tracks. And this is kind of like my opener, trying to use, you know, I have my performance effects. Currently I have the Performance Mixer 3.06 template in here, which is this like very techno-oriented template, you want to be in this mode where you have your mutes engaged and you can unmute multiple things at a time. So like we could jump in here and grab this bass line, and I have big enough hands that I can do this because I got monster hands. And you can go slow with dub techno, which is really nice. And this is my opener track for the show. So you're at the show right now. I'm trying to figure out how I want to open it. I like what I'm doing right now, so this is good practice. I have a vocal in here too. What did I put it on? 2, I think. Pops in. Like a stronger open hat over here, I think, because I have this corridor here hasn't been used up yet. Also, I'm curious, how is the voice ducking? I adjusted it so it doesn't kill the music as much. I want it to duck the music so you guys can hear me. This is a talking YouTube channel, but I reduced it quite a bit. I'd love to know. I think like these stronger effects that I have in this template, some of these effects in this template can be like really, really powerful, and I have to find the right ones for this particular genre. I can switch these. I'm like, where is that? Because that is not how it goes. Oh, I think that there was some chords, some note stealing going on. There's too many voices. Let's see. That's the thing about this genre, actually, to think about. This is just pattern 1, there's 3 patterns. Is you do have 16 voices, but if you're gonna make dub techno, you use like a chord. You make multiple chord patterns, and you kind of have them play at the same time, doing different stuff. So you want to split them up on your dig attack and your digatone sometimes, or split them up on multiple devices. Is what I'm getting at. So I do like some sampled chords over here, and then I'll do some other chords here. Yep, now everything's sounding the way it's supposed to sound. So this should have something there. I'm thinking that I might actually be able to play this entire 15 minutes of Elektron stuff on just this dub techno song, because it can sound like, you can actually make, maybe it will sound like multiple songs because there's many patterns and there's a lot to do. There's a lot of fun, like there's a lot of tweaking that I can do. So I feel like I need to get, I don't have all my alternatives on this yet, so there's still more work to do. I don't have all the alternatives here yet. We do have one here. But I need them all in the last pattern. Of course, I would have sat on that pattern for much longer. I think the idea for me is that I'm gonna start out really low, chill chords, build the chord progression up, build up the energy, bring the drums in, then bring the energy back down, transition to pattern 2, and then work my way back up, bring up the energy, and then bring the energy back down and transition to pattern 3. And it's all one dub techno track, but it will feel like, I think, multiple songs playing, especially if I record a couple more vocal lines for each pattern. But this is a lot of the workflow and the thought process that I'm going through as I'm writing this music. Okay, this is something cool to talk about, and check this out. Mute all this. All we want to hear is kick and bass. Check this out right now. Like, listen to the timing. We do have swing at 60. This is something that requires mastery. I'm not even a master at this, but this is something that you do want to learn, especially if you want to get good at this genre. And it's something I didn't spend enough time doing early on in my music production, and that I'm now spending way more time doing, and it is microtiming. Live play is one way to do it, of course, but if you just know some values that work, like doing a late hit and an early hit, a value of 128, that's 128th note, or +7, forward or backwards, depending on what you're trying to do and where you're putting that hit, is incredible. And you can do them together with these boxes. So you have your kick pattern and your bass pattern going, and you just listen and you like program patterns that like meet them. Like, I'm using microtiming and stuff on some of these hits too, as well. You can hear that kick. It's like I think of it as like a jab. It's like you're fake. It's like that experience, right? If you're a boxer, you'd be like, there's something about it. It feels good. You can do it really easy on Elektron, a little bit harder to do on the M8, very easy to do on the push. Pretty easy to do on the, it's not hard to do on the M8, it's just, I don't know what it is. There's something about the perspective on it, it's a little bit different. Also really easy on the TR-1000. Makes it really groovy. That's why this is the last pattern, because it is clearly the highest energy, and I like to build up to the highest energy at the last. You really have to use these. These are like Performance Mixer 3.06. That's what this magnetic overlay is for. The one underneath it is for the HyperFX template. But this particular effects template is for like big builds. This genre is a small build genre. It doesn't do these like some of them are a little smaller, I think. Like, not that one. This one's a little bit. This is a good one for this genre. Like, that works. So we wanted to transition. Here's something really cool. Something I want to show you about why this is so sick and why the octatrack is still amazing and why Elektron cannot release another octatrack that doesn't function the same as this octatrack. Check this out. I want to transition from 128 BPM to 145 BPM in a new song. How do you do that? If you're a DJ, you know. I know. But I mean, how do you do that on Elektron without it being, if you want to have the DJ experience, how do you do that? For me, using the performance template, particularly, you'd want to go, like, in my opinion, you want to go from, you can go melody and drums right into melody and drums if they're the same tempo and they're the same key, or they're a relative key, or you're pivot mixing. You can do a different tempo. But otherwise, on Elektron, we have the option with the octatrack to actually transition from one pattern to another pattern. And we can use this concept. Go from drums to melody. Or don't go from melody to melody. Go from melody to drums. Or drums to melody. And match BPMs in your loop. So say I wanted to transition over to this song. Okay, I want to transition to this song. Tons of energy from this song. Different tempo, very different songs. Here's what you would do. Music's playing. I want to do my transition. So I'm going to start bringing out all the melodic stuff. We're just going to sit with, well, first this is at like a super high energy level. Oh, whatever, we'll do it with the high energy level. We'll just show you how it's done. So I bring out all my melodic stuff. You would use the actual mixer if you wanted, and actually you fade out these elements. You don't just drop mutes. Fades are legit. So you would fade them out. I don't want to do it right now because I want to work on this music after the stream. So I'm just going to mute. So you drop down to like just this melodic stuff, or just to this drums. So we get to this spot, we hit yes on the octatrack. It'll arm a 4-bar recording. I mean, you could have a little bit of melody. There's a little bit of melodic stuff in there. Transition over to this recording. All right, I'm now in a live loop. Like I can show you by taking these drums out. All right, and I want to transition to this other song. What I'll do, you can watch it here. The tempo is being controlled on my dig attack. I go here and we slowly fade up. That song's 145. All right, we're ready. Now we go to the next song. Actually on this machine. This is not receiving program change, so it's sitting on the same pattern, just sitting in that loop, time stretched to the correct tempo. Yes. I could jump over to the Hyper Effects template. This is a template you get from my Patreon. Super fun. blast, right? That's why the octatrack is so sick, because you can do stuff like this, and you can transition like that. Transition from drums to melody, melody to drums. That's the seamless way to have it feel like a pro with hardware. No CDJ, no laptop. Be a pro with your octatrack. I love it. Anyway, back to my work. I need to unlock this project so that I can actually make some changes, because I need to make some changes. Oops. Okay, let's go. Where were we? Incredibly fun. It's been really cool having everybody hang out with me today. Kind of keeping me company. Talking music here. What? Oh, I see. I was like, what is happening? I was checking on the stream health, because that's something you want to do when you're a streamer. And it said that there was some weird stuff going on. I need to fix this little chat thing in the corner so that it looks nice and clean. And I will. I'll get it so it looks beautiful. This analysis perspective is something I'm adding to the stream, because I want us to be able to talk about like how good a track sounds on streams. Also check out my dope MIDI cables, modbang.com. They are fire. So here we can actually do analysis. Different spectrums. You know, we got an oscilloscope for us when we're doing synthesis on the channel. We can use the oscilloscope. We can check out our mix, see if, like, you know, if we're too subby or not, too high. And we can do note analysis on the far left, where you can actually see the spectrum and it will tell you what note is actually being played if I hover my mouse over it. And then our overall mix in the middle, so the dynamics of the stereo channel, left and right. And then we have our master output in LUFS, which I've used in all of the, what I used this little meter for, the blue meter with the LUFS, is I went through all of my music on here, and I leveled every song out to -17, which is a little low, but the octatrack is very quiet. And so that's just kind of what I have to do. I have to boost it when I get to the shows and play with the mains. So they'll just go like, you're too quiet, and I'll just go. Right? But here, I'm using it, I just have to have it at a static value. But I have all of my music, M8 music and Digitakt music. And on the Digitakt, when I want to do the M8 stuff, I have to plug in this MIDI cable to the M8. And so this is already set up to receive clock. When I plug the MIDI cable into the M8, it immediately takes over the clock. And I just unplug this cable. No, I just, plug it in and it's good. That's right. So, and then it takes over the clock for all the devices, because that becomes its clock source as opposed to its own clock. And from there, I change over to the HyperFX template and I process the M8 through. Goes through the Digitakt into the octatrack and gets clock from there. And it's all set up at -17 as well from my little LUFS meter. Get some nice analysis. Save that. Yeah. Pretty cool. Push sounds so good. It's insane. What are people most excited about to see at Buchla and Friends? Who are you most excited to see that you wouldn't normally get to see, or that is a product that you're just stoked to actually see in person? Maybe you can't afford it, or you don't want to spend the money. I don't know. Whatever the circumstance is, what device is that? And I can't say that there's one for me. So I'm like, it's more like I want to connect with like Mitch from Polyend and Mario from Elektron and patron supporters that I've met over the years and stuff like that. That's what I'm excited about. But I'm also excited to see gear. But there hasn't been something in particular that isn't on my desk right now that I want, that I need. And I really, what's up, Circo? I will see Circo. I will see you. I wish I could see you play. I think you're playing tomorrow, right? What are your thoughts on using the effects and toner for performance buildups and transitions? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Yes, there are some tools. I'd say like a Neuzeit drop plus the Tonewerk. You could build a performance mixer like the Octatrack. The amount of time and energy you will spend doing that, you better be dedicated to that process. Otherwise, you're not going to have it's not going to be a good time. But you need to be dedicated. It'll be a good time if that's what you're like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, you're going to fall in love with the process. But you can absolutely do it. The effects in it are definitely better than the Octatrack. But without the crossfader, and there's faders on the Neuzeit, and they actually have curve adjustments, which is something I want to see on the Octatrack. So yeah, you could do that. The device we are premiering will be something special. We? Who is we? You and who? Is it you and Oxy? Are you working with them? I feel like that's who the company you'd be working with, if anybody. Are you going to be at the Oxy booth, Circo? No? What booth are you going to be at? How will I know to find you? Or are you just teasing? Are you just teasing us here? And you're not going to tell us anything? Oh, you'll be at the Board Brain booth. Oh, cool. Are you working for Board Brain? Did you get a job with them? Or are you doing the booth for them, like as a presenter? I love Board Brain. That's really cool. I really want to know if you work with them now or not. That's interesting. What could it be? Board Brain presenting something special. Circo's there. I'm imagining it's either a sequencer, some sort of effects processor, maybe a groove box. EZOT finally wrung out a tasty droplet of tea. Board Brain does seem like a forward-thinking company. They made a really great, their mixer looks really nice. They have cool like ADAT features for integrating your computer in with your DAW. Yeah, I imagine it's something pretty cool. But if Circo's involved in it, I feel like it has to be something performance oriented. And if he thinks it's really cool, it must be pretty big, which means it's not a mixer. They don't have a sequencer, so it might be a sequencer, but it could be an effects processor or some sort of groove box. We'll know soon enough. It's only a couple days away. So now I'm a little more excited. Thanks, Circo, for building up a little bit of excitement for me. I know the Dirty Wave M8 is going to be there, so it'll be cool to connect with Tim and Mikey from the M8 folks. Been working on it for almost 2 years. We've been? Have you been working with Board Brain for 2 years? I didn't know that. I thought that's something you'd tell me. Jeez, I thought we were homies. Interfex V3. I don't know what that means. That sounds cool too. It's a nice name. Well, very cool, man. Moonbase Alpha, what's up? Good to see you here. Good to see everybody here and hanging out, getting ready for the event. I'm sure there'll be a lot of great coverage on YouTube channels. Won't be on mine. That's not what I do. But I do love that. I do have a Leviathanth. Did you check out Leviathanth? I actually have one. I'm a beta tester for Leviathanth. I've had one for a long time. Leviathanth is really cool. That's what I have to say about it. Very cool digital synthesizer with analog filters. Very powerful. Very powerful. Probably one of the most powerful synthesizers I've ever used, which also makes it really hard to use. For me, just because it's like, it is deep. It's a really deep machine. So I'm more preset cruising than anything, but you can do anything on it. I would love an EZBOT nom review. Maybe we'll do something like that. But we do it on stream if we do anything. I don't like making YouTube videos like that. I like making YouTube videos on very particular stuff. Or on jams. I like that. But that kind of stuff is like so boring to me. But on a stream where we can banter, that's cool. That's a cool idea. It's complex. You like complex synthesis. It's extremely complex. Extremely complex synthesis. It is the most complex synthesizer that I've ever used. By far. By far. Extremely flexible. It can be any sound you want it to be. Kind of like the Hydra, but more Hydra. Even more of the high. Just crazy synth. Was hoping for multi-mode analog filter, but I think it's just a 24 dB profit filter. I actually don't know. I don't remember. 24 dB profit filter is a really nice filter. So, I don't know. The only filter that I've ever had any issues with is I don't really particularly like the Curtis filter very much. Like, it sounds fine, but the Curtis filters never close all the way. Like, you turn the cutoff all the way down, but you still can hear the synth, like the... I don't know what that is, but I've experienced it on so many synths that have Curtis filters. Something about that, but I really love the Prophet filter. You have a Prophet 10, I have a Prophet 5. I love the Prophet 5. Beautiful. Yeah, Curtis filter. Feel the same way as me. One of us, one of us. Well, I was gonna do some, like, actual music productions today, but, like, this hanging out and chatting has seemed to be, like, the thing that really felt the best, and, you know, I just follow my nose, and the nose says to sit here and chat and talk about gear with everybody for 2 hours. That has been a really good time. Does it have an analog VCA? You know, I don't know. I know it has an analog filter. I actually don't know if it has an analog VCA. It's a good question. When it comes to all the Curtis filter synths I've used, they all had analog VCAs. Yeah. You glad you caught a stream? You okay with catching a stream and we're not doing any music production? Usually I'm teaching people and showing people how to use gear. But today we're just talking about stuff. I think the opening conversation was relevant in 2026. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now that also makes me feel like, is money just gonna go away? And like, just to hold on to my gear because I'm not gonna be able to buy anymore? Like, I'm just like, what's gonna happen in the future? I don't know. Makes me want to hold on to my stuff more than ever. That's how I'm feeling with like the climate globally. Just like, is stuff not gonna be even coming to the States anymore? Like, are we gonna get banned from receiving stuff outside the US? I don't even know. It's a crazy thing that I don't like to talk about on stream, but it is relevant to gear. I actually think about it. Weird times, weird times. I would hold on to any EU gear. Well, it's all EU gear, my friend. It's all EU gear. Yeah, we all feel that. I'm holding on to all my stuff. I'm not letting go of any gear I have. I'm collecting it all now. I don't ever want to lose any of my, not be able to get any of it. What a bunch of bullshit. Well, let's go back here. Back to the music. This was originally like a techno track, or like an electro track. And now it's become this thing. Which I love to write music like this. Do these work together? Not at all. That's not how this track starts. I'm not even sure I want to play it. I think maybe I just play this, play the dub techno track in my M8 songs and call it. I think that'll be a good time. Well, I brought myself down talking about politics for like 1 second. I never want to do that again. Makes me feel like crap inside. Cheers to everybody. I love you all. I love all of you across the entire globe. And all I want to do is connect with you and have free trade. And you're amazing, and I appreciate all of your support. And I have a lot of cool stuff that I'm working on. And I hope that you do end up trying Chord Tree. This is really fun. I promise you. It's a really good time. It makes writing music even more fun. It adds an element of skill that maybe you don't have yet, and it also gives you ideas that maybe you wouldn't have without. So check out this app that I have on my website called Chord Tree. You build chords, chord branches, and I'm working on a new template for my octatrack. If you're interested in picking that up, and also. Everybody wants this, that has picked up the hybrid 4x4 template for the octatrack. If you're a hybrid 4x4 template user, I did it. I had the magnet developed, and we'll hopefully have it printed after Buchla & Friends. It looks a lot like this magnet, except for instead of saying filters, filters is here, and stutter effects is here, beat repeats is still here, or stutter effects is still here, filters here, but right here, and there's no master looper. There's a risers and drops graphic, which is really cool, designed by Blake's, who's a moderator here in the chat. I don't think he's actually here right now, though, but he designed it. We're gonna have that printed, so we'll have a magnetic overlay for the hybrid 4x4. Super cool. I'm excited to get that out to people. People love the magnets for the octatrack, and they work really well. So then there's a new template that is going to use the exact same magnetic layout, except for with no tracks. For sampling, it's going to have 2 buses, one for your melodic bus and one for your drum bus. And I'm working on that right now, called Ultimate Effects 4.0. It's based off the hybrid 4x4 template. 4 groups of 4, which is my new workflow for designing effects. I'm also working on a performance template for the Push 3. Actually, we're pretty far along with that. We have the meat and potatoes of how it functions figured out. Uses a crossfader. Actually turns half the pads into a crossfader. So I'm working on that process. Pair that with the USB thing I was talking about. Really cool stuff. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, you can visit patreon.com/EZBOT and join the Patreon, which supports this channel directly and supports these conversations. And hopefully have maybe a video coming out this weekend. I'm not sure. I need to prep. But besides that, I hope to see everybody that's in LA at Buchla & Friends, and please come and see me perform. I would love to have you there. Do a lot of what you just saw today, except for a lot more M8 stuff, glitching stuff out with my octatrack, hanging out and chatting, and come up and say hi to me. If you see me, please come up and say hi. I am super friendly at IRL, and I'll talk your ear off. Don't let me do that. I need to get around. But please come up and say what's up, because I love to meet everybody. And thank you for participating in this channel and hanging out and making this a reality. So with that being said, thanks everybody for hanging out. We've been streaming for about 2 hours, talked a lot about gear, hung out and chatted, getting stoked about Buchla and Friends. We'll see Circo, see what they've been cooking up. That sounds pretty interesting. And like I said, I love you all across this beautiful globe. You're wonderful people, and I hope I get to meet some of you in the next couple days. Cheers. I forgot we transitioned to 145 on this one. Gotta bring that back. All right, folks, everybody, take it easy. I'll see you soon. Oh yeah, like and subscribe, right? Freaking YouTube.